I'm calling to order the Finance and Administration Committee meeting of May 11, 2006. Will the minute taker please call the roll?
Alderman Winger,
Here.
Alderman Shockey,
Here.
Alderman Wesley,
Here.
Alderman Knipe, Alderman Ptolemy,
Here.
Alderman Coles,
Here.
Alderman Peisig,
Here.
Alderman Subak.
I declare a quorum present. The first item on our agenda is approval of minutes of April 13th, 2006. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor? I'm sorry, on the question?
Sort of on the question. Staff wanted me to make an announcement at the beginning of the committee process tonight to the people at home that we're aware we're having a problem with the microphones. They may be cutting in and out tonight, and hopefully we'll have the problem resolved by next week.
Thank you. On the question, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is a resolution to adopt amortization period for IMRF early retirement incentive at the 7 years. And what we have in front of us is a scenario of 10-year, 7-year, 5-year. And after reviewing the numbers, I would certainly agree that the 7 year is the way to go. And with that, I'll ask if our interim finance director, Maggie Powers, would like to add anything to that.
Thank you, Chairman Leonard. Just one item for you. The way this works with IMRF, when we passed the resolution in 2004 adopting the early retirement incentive, they automatically put us on a 10-year amortization. But the city will not start paying for the cost of this until January 1st of 2007. So we need to get this paperwork to them if we want to change from the 10-year, which is the automatic. You'll notice there's a column called Early Retirement Income Cost. These numbers were provided by IMRF. Then there's a column called Amount to Amortize. They've done the same. And then the last column is the interest expense. I calculated that at the rate of 7.5%. But the city won't get a bill for these amounts every year. What will happen is the annual rate that the city of Wooddale is charged for IMRF participation based on the number of people who are employed here now will be adjusted to cover this amount that needs to be amortized. So you will never see anything on the list of bills, a check written to IMRF. It would just be reflected in the monthly payments that we make to IMRF. But I wanted you to be aware that they do impute a 7.5% interest rate on these amounts, and that as long as there is an amount unpaid on the early retirement, you could not adopt a new resolution for early retirement. So that's why my recommendation is 7 years. 5 is very expensive. 10 would really lock the city in for a long time, should they feel they need to do another one. 7 is right in the middle. And we did budget the estimated amount in the 06-07 budget. It will be 4 months of that budget that is going to be covered by these higher rates.
Thank you. Any questions before I make the motion? I'm going to make a motion that we adopt a resolution to amortize the ERI costs over a period of 7 years for the early retirement incentive program.
Second.
On the question, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Items to be considered at future meetings. Item A, sales tax referendum on the November ballot. Are there any other items to consider at future meetings? Alderman Wesley.
Mr. Chairman, are we going to talk about the senior discount water rate that we were handed today? Will that be covered tonight or in this?
Yes.
Okay.
Chairman Winger, I have 2 items of information that I've passed out to the council.
Okay.
The first is the senior water discount. I have revised the application form based on the current ordinance, which requires that the income levels be established for persons 62 years of age or older, and that the HUD very low income limits be applied based on household size. I tried to make this form a little simpler than it has been in the past, and also to put those very low income limits right on the form. Also giving people examples of what sorts of things they can use to to substantiate the income that they put on the form. If there is a desire for the council to amend this program in any way, I'm just putting this out here now so everybody can see the current application and how it would be. Ordinarily, we mail out to the people who are participating this current year, we mail these out in May and ask people to return them by the end of the May or the middle of June. Right now, we have 85 people who are qualified to participate in this program, and it results in a $5 garbage discount and a $5 water discount per month for those people who are eligible.
Okay, and before we start with questions, I did want to mention that I believe in September, we're talking about going back and then looking at the water rate trends to see if we can offer even a more robust discount program for the low income, whether senior or not, et cetera. And so I just want to confirm that, so this is maintaining our existing discount program and just fine tuning the form.
Exactly.
Okay. Alderman Wesley.
I have one question on this form. I noticed we asked for social security number of senior citizens here or whoever's applying for this. Is there a way, we already know how many people get it already, am I correct? You told me 85?
Yes.
Is there a way instead of having them put their social security number, if we give them ID number to put in that location instead? Because I got a feeling the seniors might be more lenient by giving social security numbers out, knowing that every now and then you hear on the news that seniors are getting taken for their money because social security numbers are being released. I mean, is there a way that we could put like a group number, ID number like they do on insurance cards saying, and we monitor that way or no?
We certainly could, Alderman Wesley. In fact, we could use their water account number, but the problem is, if they're going to give us proof of their income, virtually every document they produce would have their social security number on it. And most people's driver's licenses are also showing social security numbers unless they've been very recently issued. Now the state of Illinois is not requiring that. But I've got a privacy notice on the second page, and we do adhere to this. The file is kept in the finance department in a locked cabinet. There's only myself and one clerk who ever see these documents and whoever have anything to do with them. Once the person qualifies, we simply go in and change their water account to award that discount. And forever after, the paperwork is kept locked up.
Okay, it's just something that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
What if we considered writing something on here that if there is a concern about sharing the social security number, that the individual could come in to the office and review the papers with either yourself or the clerk, or the clerk that also handles it, and then that individual would take back their papers with them, but it would just be an approval process that, yes, the city has witnessed the right documentation.
Sure, we could consider that. We could also allow them to block out their social security number, or maybe only provide us with the last four numbers, which would be good enough to match other documents, but it wouldn't be the whole number, so it's kind of worthless to anybody. I've noticed that some institutions are doing that now to try to allow for some privacy. Sure, we can do that too.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Shockey.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you're asking not only for Social Security, but for civil service benefits, railroad benefits, pensions, annuities, veterans benefit. I mean, it goes all the way down the line, and including wages, salaries, and tips. Wouldn't it be much simpler just to ask for one of the forms for the IRS and just block out that first part of the Social Security number?
If you'll notice on page 2, it says that's actually what we want, but if you don't have to file a federal income tax return, then you would have to come up with these other documents. It's only if you don't file a tax return, and some seniors don't have to file a tax return. They're at such a low income level, they're never required to file anything. Right. No, all these, if they don't file taxes. And then they could block out the social security number on that as well, or the first 5 numbers, and just give us the last 4, just so we would have a way of matching a document to that person.
And we're not actually giving them credit for real estate taxes that they pay either, are we?
No, this is based on income.
Strictly income.
Yeah, not on taxable income. At least that's the way the ordinance is currently written.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, what part is not, does not need to be filled out if they have, if they
They still
file?
have to, they still have to fill this out so we can see what, because it's for every person in the household. In other words, if there's two seniors, they both get Social Security, they'd add those two together and put that on line one. The same with railroad retirement benefits or interest and dividend income, whatever. They add that together. It's the income for the household. Because this does not only apply to seniors, it applies to widows or widowers with dependent children and also people who are disabled.
Okay.
So there's others in that group, and the senior cutoff is age 62.
Thank you. Alderman Coles?
I think it would be nice, Maggie, if you went over the tax bill to explain to the people about the city of Wooddale, what the city of Wooddale gets out of the tax bill, because you have people that call and say, oh, the tax bill went up $400. I say, look where it says the city of Wooddale and see how much that went up.
Thank you.
And that is something that happens every year.
That's our next item, Alderman
Oh,
Coles.
all right.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments on the one? Alderman Ptolemy?
Just real quick, yeah. I understand the concern with the Social Security, but my question would be, do we not have to validate that the information we're given is legit?
The ordinance we do.
And that means we need that to get the records from the federal government, right? You go,
I'm sorry, we would need what?
we need the Social Security number because that's a key for the federal government.
Right, so if we had the last four numbers on all the documents, that would work fine too. I mean,
Well, all I
have
was
a
going to say
name
was
and you
that
have
I think
the-
this form is very good. I mean, I really do. I think it's very clear, so.
Mr. Manager?
Yes, I would just like to point out that when we did the research to update the ordinance, we did check with other municipalities in the area that offer this discount to make sure that our ordinance was up to where it should be and met all the requirements. That's where we came up with this. And as you see, this is how the communities that offer this discount do it. Some do not offer this discount. We're one of a few that do offer it, but as the finance director has said, it is available to those people who really need it, and I think that's important. But we do have to verify it, because on occasion, we would get people to say, well, they don't really need this, they don't really. If anybody says anything, we have documented, we do it in accordance with the requirement of the law, how other communities do it when they offer this, and that's all we're trying to do.
one other point, Chairman Winger. I believe when I first looked into this, there was some discussion about how if you didn't have a program tied to some income level, and you just based it on seniors, it could be considered discriminatory. And there was some stuff in there from attorneys that were talking about it, and this could be why the ordinance was written the way it was, that there had to be some submittal of proof and there had to be some criteria. And we're using the HUD numbers because those are published annually and they do increase every year. So that's a benchmark that it's not arbitrary.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Did you need a motion on this form, or is it for
No,
information and
just
input
for
only?
information. And in fact,
Okay.
I'll be happy to rework it and change the Social Security number stuff and make this a little clearer.
Okay.
And then in the letter that we send along with it, what we do is we send these out to the people who are currently participating, and then we put the form on the website and make it available at the Finance Department counter. So there's several ways that people can inform themselves about it. In fact, I will ask that the next newsletter have a little paragraph about it explaining the program, so that those who might not know about it, who qualify, could also apply for it.
Okay, that sounds perfect. Then this item is for information and input only. The next item, Ms. Powers, would you like to go into that one next?
Yes, the next item
tax
is
bill?
the handout that has the 2005 tax bill on top of it. You'll notice this is a bill made out to the city of Wooddale. This is for some property that the city purchased last year. and we need to pay the taxes on it up to the point where the owner sold it to the city. After that, then the property becomes exempt. But it's, I don't have to worry about showing anyone's name since it's the city's own bill. I thought it would be good for you to see, first of all, the rate for the city of Wooddale. On the page that's at the second page, you'll see that the total tax rate for 2005 for the city of Wooddale is .3774. Last year, it was .3882. The year before that, .4068. So our rate has been going down every year. The county clerk, when they extend the taxes, take the 6 categories that we use for tax levy, and they add some together and call it pension, and then they take the rest and call it the city of Wooddale. In our case, the levy for corporate purposes, for audit, and for liability insurance are what's on the city of Wooddale line, and the amounts for Social Security, IMRF, and police pension are on the pension line. They simply take the levy, they add up the tax extended rates, and they show that in 2 lines on the form. If you look at the difference in dollars for pension, in the 2004 levy, we had $826,812 to cover pensions, and in this current levy, we have $860,857. So it's about $34,000 higher. When we do the levy every year, we take last year's tax and we increase it by 4.99%. As you know, we have to stay under 5% or the consumer price index. And since we don't know what the consumer price index is at the time we do the levy, we go as high as we can without going over the 5%, and then let the county actually calculate our limiting rate. So then I just got the tax levy the first week of April, the actual approved levy, and this is the actual levy that we have, and it is reflected on these tax bills. I think there was a question by someone about the fire district. I don't know why they failed to levy an appropriate amount for their pensions. If you look at all these taxing bodies, every one of them has a pension levy as well as a regular levy, or at least they have it broken down that way. And in some cases, the pension levy is higher than for all other corporate purposes.
Mr. Mayor.
I have a question regarding the fire district. Does that mean now they have lost that ability to go back to that old rate, or did they get to blend the 2 rates?
I think next year they could probably levy appropriately, but I'm not the expert on that. That would be the county clerk's office as to whether they could do it. But overall, the limiting rate is, there's 2 rates. Statutorily, there are certain rates that cannot go over a particular amount. For instance, the corporate rate cannot go over 0.25. We're always around 0.21, and we've never run into that situation. There's no limit on the rate for pension per se. But then when you take your total levy, you've got the Property Tax Limitation Act that you have to take into account. So they may be able next year to levy more dollars for pension, and certainly they could divert monies that they're levying this year on their corporate line and put it towards pension. They could do that too. But it's just, I think the intent of this, breaking it out on the tax bill, was really just to show the taxpayers how many dollars are actually being used to support municipal pensions throughout the state. Not only municipal, but county and township and the state of Illinois as well. There are large amounts of money. Pardon me? No, and the manager just mentioned to me that what we don't know is how funded their pension plans are. As you know, in Wooddale, our police pension fund is heavily funded, and there's been a commitment to make up whatever the actuary says the contribution should be from the city. We make it up. We levy as much as we can, and then we make the rest of it up out of general funds. IMRF is fully funded, and so is FICA. So Wooddale's in very good shape in terms of how they handled their pension funds. Other communities are not that fortunate And it only gets worse. The picture can never gets better. It only gets worse because as time goes on, you've got this large liability for your pensioners. Wages are increasing. The rate of return on the investments may or may not be increasing. Hopefully it is. And so it's just harder and harder to get there, harder and harder to fund those pensions. And for police and fire departments, that's critical. The last sheet on this information item is the 2005 real estate tax bill, broken down for a taxpayer who would be in District 7, School District 7. You may recall this picture because last year we were at 8.16% of the total tax bill. Now we've dropped down to 7.16% of the tax bill. And I've got these ranked in order of the largest to the smallest.
And then is the pension factored into each of the line items?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's the total tax rate.
Okay. Any questions, comments before we, Alderman Coles?
Good job, Maggie. Good job.
Okay, that item is for information only. Are there any other items to add to our items for future meetings? I make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Second. On the question, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
I'd like to call the Planning, Zoning, and Building Committee to order, please. Let the record reflect that the same people are still present. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of April 13th, 2006. Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. First item we have then on the agenda tonight is a report and recommendation. This is case number 06V3, Jakimowicz, 297 Dunley Court. This is the side yard variance to allow for construction and use of a second floor addition. This was a case that has been continued from April 13th. We were looking for clarification of the side yard variance request. Roger?
Yes, excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the Chairman Ptolemy mentioned, this case had been continued from the April 13th PZB meeting. At that time, a motion was made requesting staff to provide further information regarding the west side yard setback variation request. And in doing so, in complying with that request, John Forrest, the Building Safety Division Supervisor, had produced the memo which has been included in your packet. And at this time, I would like to pass the microphone to him to give you just a brief overview on his research. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nowak. First of all, are there any questions on this memo that was prepared and submitted to you? Mr. Coles?
I made the mistake last time on this, and I've talked to the people in the house, and everything's okay as far as I'm concerned. We talked today, I've did more research and I talked to them, so I will go along with this.
Okay. When I went out to the site, using a reference point contained on a sealed survey that was prepared of the property, we did pull some measurements, and the survey does appear to be accurate. On the west side of this house, the corner that is closest to the property line is 4.62 feet from the property line, which is non-conforming. The property to the west of this is 8.71 feet from their property line. So the two homes, as they are existing, are 13 feet 4 inches apart right now. Each home does have 2-foot overhangs on it. So again, I guess if you take those 2 feet overhangs into account from each house, then technically the roof lines are 9.71 feet apart. I'm sorry, 9 foot 4 inches apart.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Alderman Winger?
Thank you. Two things. I just want to mention that we do now have a tree preservation ordinance in Wooddale, so as construction begins, and that the preservation plan will certainly have to be approved by the building department, and no trees would be touched or removed until it's gone through the appropriate channels. The other point is that I am in favor of seeing this happen, and I'm going to support it tonight. But when I did drive by, there was no sign out in the front yard. And I think that's an important aspect of the whole process, just to ensure that the neighbors are aware that the construction is taking place. So unless, if there's anything prohibiting that sign from going back, let me know, please let me know that now. Otherwise, I expect that sign to be out in the front yard. So when it comes to council, I'll be able to vote yes again, because that's my way of ensuring that the neighbors are aware of this project. Thank you.
Alderman Winger, could I ask you a question? What sign are you talking about? You talking about the zoning, okay. I believe that the sign is kept up only until it actually goes to the actual zoning board meetings. That once it passes that and comes to the city council or to, this group, this committee, that the sign is already taken down at that point. I don't know, am I right, am I wrong? Is that true? Roger?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In times past, the sign has been left up until it comes to council for final approval.
Okay.
And Alderman Winger is quite correct. The sign, and we have not found out whether it has been taken away for some purpose, but not by city services. But we will make sure that that sign goes up tomorrow again. But there have been times in the past where we've actually had people remove the sign, place it in their garage because they thought that it had gone through the process and we're just waiting for it to get picked up.
Gotcha.
And then other times they've actually been stolen.
Okay. Sorry, thank you. Anybody else have anything? Okay, then what I'd like to do is make a motion to concur with case number 06V3 Jacomowitz, I hope I'm saying that right, 297 Dunley Court for the side yard variance to allow for construction and use of a second floor addition.
I'll second it.
A question? Should I put in the specs, Rod, in that motion? Do you need that, what the variance is?
Yes, by all means, you can you can place those in.
What is the actual, what is the actual variance we're looking for in this? I know, I'm looking at it and it's like oh, okay. You know what, we'll say as per John's, that's what I'll do, is I'll amend my motion to say we will approve it as per the memo to Roger Noack, Community Development Director, from John Four, Safety Division Inspector, dated May 2nd, 2006, 297 Dunley Court.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the second item we have then is, this is case number 06V2 Demal, 436 North Walnut, north and south side yard variances to allow for the construction use of a second floor addition. Gentlemen?
Once again, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This case number 06V2 Dymal 436 North Walnut is of interest because it deals with a property that was platted some 80-plus years ago. And the petitioners had come before the Zoning Board of Appeals and Plan Commission requesting this side yard variance to the north lot line and although it is a .88 figure, it's .88 feet from the lot line. This is something that has been in existence for over about approximately 80 years. And when they had resubmitted, or submitted rather, their plan for review, the Building Safety Division had pointed out the fact that originally it was encroaching upon that .88 area on the north lot line. And we do have a copy of the proposed and updated drawing showing the exact type of project that these people are contemplating. This particular request for side yard variance was recommended for denial by the ZBA Plan Commission in a 4 to 2 vote, and that had occurred on April 17th. What I'd like to do, with your permission, is place this sheet on the overhead camera so that everyone can take a look.
Please.
And while I'm walking over here to do so, I do know that the petitioners are present this evening, and their representative might want to be able to answer some of your questions and/or comment.
I got a question for you, Roger, and that is, the original, am I to understand what you were saying is that the original house is already only .88 inches from the lot line?
This will be shown right on this overhead. Correct. It's .88 from the north lot line, which...
So they're already non-compliant. I mean,
Yes, this is a legal non-conforming property,
okay,
which is not... We're having problems. Which is not uncommon. This is we have similar anomalies that we have had show up in other zoning board of appeals cases in the past, where the side yard setback requirements are not to our zoning code requirements. The bulk standards, it just does not reflect. Well, anyway, if I do believe in your packet, you do have the printed
right. And
rendering.
all they're looking to do is just to add a second floor right on top of that. So there is no additional encroachment. This just makes it legal.
Right. For what they want to do, the second story is in conformance. It is not encroaching into the required 5-yard setback whatsoever. It is at the required and necessary side yard setback.
Okay.
All they did was indent it to the area over the garage and go up from there. But they have moved that off the lot line approximately 5 feet plus.
Does anybody in this committee have a question? Alderman Winger?
Thank you. So that was going to be one of my questions as well, is, just to confirm that we're not expanding it any more than that house is already at. So I feel comfortable understanding that they're not asking to make it any bigger than it already is today, closer to the lot lines, except they're only going up, right? So, but now as I'm looking at the new drawing, and when I went by the house today, I don't remember the garage to be out and towards the front. Does this house currently have the garage so close to the front, or isn't it recessed back further? The existing home. Right now, that's what's missing here. I don't see the existing home, and I'm trying to remember what I saw when I went past. What?
Here's a picture of the existing, where it is actually set back.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay.
And they want to move forward. They want to move that garage forward.
They just want to bring it to the front building line, which is acceptable because the other homes are built just like that. There's no offset to the west.
No, I don't know.
I can't see the side. No.
I was looking at the wrong house.
What they do is.
This is the president.
They want to move it up even with the house.
Wait,
And they're, what they're doing is they're pulling back the second floor away from. Look at this now.
Okay.
That's the way it is now.